Hello, my name is Anjani, and today I have Eduardo here, and we're just sort of talking about some things that I think are interesting and questions that I want to ask. Um, my question is about music. So, I remember a long time ago you were talking about, and I probably didn't get it fully because it was maybe 5 years ago. You were talking about the sphere and the cosmos and how music somehow, there's like a, I don't even know, but you know what I'm talking about? Like there's a music in
Music of the spheres.
the music of the spheres, and how I want to know how can we use that music as part of our like upgrading our system or elevating our frequency or becoming, when you hear a good music you feel good.
Mm.
um, and I know that you have this really nice way of explaining, first of all, where is music coming from and how it interacts with numbers, and how that is part of like the first thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um. Well, the first thing is like the first was the sound. It was the word. So the first thing consciousness created outside of itself was the sound. Was the vibration, because sound and vibration are synonymous. They're the same thing. They're, if we could hear all the vibrations, that we could hear the wall singing, we could hear the everything singing, because everything to exist requires a vibration, and a vibration is nothing but sound. So the spheres itself, the planets itself, the animals themselves, that's why you see flocks of animals flying together. And how in the world are they doing this? Or they're singing to each other, they're playing with each other. That's, and they, by their vibrations of their wings, by the vibrations of the bats do it. They send a vibration out, they get a vibration in return, and they identify where they are. So I call it beats before language, which was, before we were able to speak with each other, before we were able to do anything else, we were creating sounds to express ourselves, because it was sound that created us as a way to express itself. So it's always mirroring. We're always trying to copy, our creator. And that's part of our dance with it. And in regards to the numbers and the sacred frequencies, is because numbers are simply just ratios. They're simply divisions in the vibration that makes the vibration become self-aware, or like I said, centripetal, which, like Dan Winter would say, it's the way into the vibration to cohesively enter another vibration that is larger or smaller, for those vibrations to be able to nest. And once enough vibrations nest and cohesively enter itself, then it creates its own singularity, it creates its own perhaps consciousness, because that's, or even identity to into itself. So it creates more space, sacred space, where the vibrations are pleasant to our growth, because that's our that's the signature vibration that created us. So through using the sacred ratios, we are able to experience the more pure energies that make up the framework of our existence. So that's a direct, it's like an elevator to God in itself. But it's really internal. It's not. It's like shooting both directions, because you think it's going out, but it's really just going in. Um, the other thing is, we have developed those sounds, and we know how, you know, what are the vibrations that best suit the human body, what is the vibrations that best suit the earth. We know what the vibration of the sun is. These are all other people that are very much more scientific and on the edge of this technology, so they're doing it. But it is absolutely a tool that we have as humans to connect with these vibrations. And expand ourselves with them. But it's a matter of consciously deciding your vibration. That's the first technique that we can do, is understanding that we are vibration before we are matter. That our vibration starts going to a level that it settles enough for the body to express itself, and that all changes really comes from that vibrational level, and we have access to it at any point. There's no middleman between you and your vibration, and that's the direct connection to that expansion and that feeling that we all want.
So what do you think about sound healing? Like, is there a particular, I hear a lot of people talking about 432, and there's 5 something or other, like hertz, that they're tuning their, and in your band, do you guys do something like that, like tune your...
We used to. I've done it in different groups. In this one, we don't.
What would you tune it to?
432 is probably what we know. It's all ratios of 9. Then 9 is it's 544, 639. All this ratios of 9. 9 is the sacred number that we would divide out of, unconsciously. 108, 144. All the sacred numbers are all related to 9. And Marco Rodin, you can do some research on him, and he will go with that and explain a lot more what that's about.
He created the Rodin coil, right?
Yeah, because numbers as visualization and as entities have their own vibration, and each number has a vibration. So the ratio of these vibrations, just like the sounds in the different languages, used to be created in the shape of the vibrational signature of that word, so were the numbers. And through deep clairvoyance, we were able to see the denomination energetically of each of those numbers, and how their relationship and their combination would create a space for more vibrations to accumulate harmoniously, which is what we want. What we seek as creatures of higher intelligence is to accumulate as much possible energy in a single space harmoniously. That's all we want. And that it makes, it has this pulse of this, that's what it does. It can shrink to the smallest possible denomination, which is infinite, and then it can span to this highest possible denomination, which is infinite. But it only can do so if its ratio is coherent, if the way that they nest is in alignment with the rest. So music, when you're playing music and you start feeling good, it's because the sounds, the ratios that are being sent your way are able to nest inside your own vibrational field and then create this cohesiveness. So feeling good is simply a harmony between you and the sound you're receiving. So when we, for example, the therapy, which is Dan Winter's healing method that creates this plasma field, what it does is that it tunes into your body's original vibration, the original signature, so it's able to connect to that and make the whole system be cohesive. So disease can't live in a cohesive system. So when we try to do sound healing, it's really called vibrational healing, because sound is vibration and synonymous. So some instruments are better tuned than others, some modalities are better than others, but essentially it's a very true and cutting edge science that we lost and we are recovering.
Lost and recovering what?
We lost it in the past through our ancients, because the ancients knew about all this and were experts about all this, and in fact left it to us in their ratios and their constructions. They left us the right numbers for us to plug it in and understand that, oh, this vibrations, this numbers, and harmonics. There's some buildings, from ancient times that are sonically perfect, that are cohesive through these energies, and where people would gather and experience this vibrations and feel that ecstasy of there, because it's never external. It's just a tuning fork for your own internal perfection that's already exists that you cannot escape from, which is what people really have a hard time dealing with, and that's why they seek the other, because the understanding that I already am, it's really hard to get because you don't feel it. You're in this awkward position where you're not how you really want to be. You're not acting the way you really want to be. You're not into this. So how can I already be my most perfect? And it's simply because in on the way to matter, it how do I say this? It fizzles down a little bit. It disconnects. You can't see it. You can't see it doesn't disconnect. It's hard to put in words, but it's like the expression. There's a middleman, I guess, of what we call the mind. The mind is the translator between, the highest and our motor functions, and we've created our own internal identity that's hasn't learned how to serve the highest, and it's in itself becomes to protect the vessel, and that's the distance between you and your perception.
So then the mind, you mean, okay, so I want to just back up a little bit because I want to clarify this. So when you're saying like, oh, for myself, I constantly am reading and studying and I want to learn more and I want to take this class and I get this certification, and this is where I don't feel perfect. I feel like I need to know something more. So then that, when you're saying fizzle down, my mind is like, okay, well, somebody who is, and this is my, I call it a Saturn complex. Okay, well, if you want to be really expanded and evolved, you need to know this and this and this and be able to teach it perfectly. And so then that's my mind saying these things and I believe it, you know what I mean? So that saying, don't believe your thoughts, has been really helpful to me lately. So then you're like, hey, that's not true. Then you can sort of open that space up for the consciousness to run more through. Is that what you're saying? Something like that?
Yeah, the mind can be an assistant, and it can also be a blockage. It's just depending how much we learn to train our identity. If we identify ourselves with the mind, then the mind believes it's alive. The mind believes it's the body, because we are identifying the body with the mind. If we identify the mind with the consciousness, then we allow the consciousness to operate the body, because the channel between the consciousness, which is perfect and unborn, needs the mind to connect to the brain and guide the brain to take those perfect actions and take those, to create the best possible experience that it wants to live, because it is actually the soul that's experiencing. It's not the mind. The mind will be done. The soul will remain. So when we identify the mind with the motor functions with the body, then it's not as encouraged to work with the consciousness. But when we tell the mind that it's simply a tool for the consciousness, we identify, I am this. That's why this whole very repeated I am that I am he, I am that, those are just systematic tools that we develop as students to connect with consciousness and to put the mind in its place. And that's why this other thing that I really like to visualize is to crown the heart. So what that means is to bring in the mind to crown the heart, because the heart has a much deeper, stronger connection with consciousness than the mind does, because the mind operates the motor system, but yet we identify with it so hard that it's difficult to let the heart knowledge and conscious knowledge to come through. So it's this constant practice to organize ourselves in a way that it is our consciousness that feeds the mind, and the mind is in alignment with the heart, and through the heart we commit the actions.
And then with music, you can, I feel like music will just bypass, right? It
Music does
bypasses
bypass the mind.
the construct,
Yeah.
and gets right into the heart,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, music bypasses the mind absolutely, and at times the heart as well. It goes directly to consciousness. It goes direct. You know, that's why you can.
It's the same language.
Yeah, it's the because it's pure vibration, um, and it can create the highest levels of perception and self-awareness, which is what we seek.
Mm. Okay, last thing, because we started off with music, and just to bring it back around, so something that people can do to sort of activate that part of themselves. And of course, going to one of your shows is always feels good no matter what. But what about, like, is there any particular music, or going out into nature? Of course, I laid in the forest by myself overnight, and I felt the crickets and the frogs and the everything, and I could like hear my heartbeat really like syncing up with the rhythm of what was happening in nature. So I felt like that was really amazing. But what about, we live in a city, and what is a way that we can get tuned into that and connect to the music?
Yeah, like vibration is food that you never stop eating. You know what I mean? It's like when you say watch what you eat, Vibration is the food that you don't stop, So putting yourself in a position where the vibrations that you're receiving make you feel good is the most important thing that you could do. And number one thing is being aware of it. I am in this place, I am feeling these energies, I am relating, I hear all the cars go by. How does that make me feel? I hear the wires and the posts moving electricity. How does that make me feel? And then started becoming aware that you have a direct physical relationship between you and your environment through this electromagnetic, through the sounds that are happening. And then internally asking yourself what music makes me feel good, and whether it is to want to play it, whether you're a string person or you're a wind person or you're a drum person or whatever you are. There's no right recipe to, to accept, primordial soundless, therapy, pi ratio sounds that just are good for everyone. Besides that, some people can't stand classical music, but there's a reason for that, because they're so disconnected with the naturality and the power of the sounds that it makes them feel uncomfortable. There's people that are so far away from their own awareness of what music is that they can listen to the craziest, most defeated, negative vibrations and not be aware that is feeding them, and not even be in conscious. Oh, I just like this, and no, you don't like it. It's just feeding something that you're used to. It's a very different thing, You don't like something, you're just used to it, and you don't. Once you open yourself up to the sounds of nature, it's definitely the best. Go listen to the ocean for a while, Try to connect. There is a sound the sun makes that we can hear. If you pay enough attention and you're quiet enough, you will hear the sun. No doubt. But, yeah.
All right, well, we'll finish here. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please ask any questions. I know that went a part of it did go over my head. But if you have any questions, he will answer them. So thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.